What's up, movie lovers? I'm Bane.
And I'm Batman.
And we are the Hilsmaniacs. In today's video, we are going to be concluding our Dark Knight Trilogy rewatch with The Dark Knight Rises. Alright, so first of all, with this movie, I do want to talk about one thing that I didn't really like about the movie that much, was that like, the way they concluded what Bane was doing in this movie kind of just seemed a bit anticlimactic. Because it's revealed in this movie that he was basically working with the daughter of Ra's al Ghul, who was the villain from the first, from Batman Begins. And his daughter was coming to continue what he was trying to do. And Bane was working for her. But throughout the whole movie, we're led to believe that Bane is the real villain of this, and he's trying to destroy Gotham for his own reasons and things like that. So, like, everything he does, I feel like just got undercut, like, immediately as soon as we find out that he was working with Talia al Ghul the whole time. I didn't really like that too much.
I mean, that's a good point, yeah, because they kind of build it as Bane being the main Batman villain.
Right, and it doesn't...
he was the Joker of this movie, and you look
Until
at
you get to that point.
You look at, I mean, they kind of did the same thing with the Dark Knight though too, because it was supposed to be like Joker was the bad guy, but then Harvey Dent also became Two-Face. But at least his wasn't overshadowing what the Joker was doing. It was more of just kind of another villain for Batman to face. Whereas in this one, it was just like, yeah, he's just...
Because it even starts off with Bane, and everything Bane does throughout the movie, he's, gets...
Right.
Just like Joker did, I feel like he got more screen time than, like, Batman actually did. Like, Bruce Wayne was here a lot, because he was retired after the second movie. And I think it's been, like, 8 years, I think, since the Dark Knight movie or something. But, like... I feel like that just kind of ruined... It kind of undermined him as a villain. I feel like they were trying to do two different things that, like, ended up combining them together.
This could have ended up being like a separate movie where they reveal that he was working for Talia al Ghul.
Or that too, yeah.
Because like they could have just had it be Bane in this one, and then Batman defeats Bane.
Right.
Somehow, whatever, even if it's not the same ending, whatever the ending would end up being, and then in the next one, they obviously didn't make another one. If they would have made another one, could have been like, oh well, Bane was just a puppet. This is the real villain behind it.
If anything, it would have been neat to like maybe have where Bane is like a somebody who was inspired by like the Joker or something, like, because then you play off how powerful the Joker still was as a villain, and he wanted to continue what the Joker was doing or something to bring peace to Gotham instead of trying to destroy it, because that's mainly what Joker was trying to do, just in his own sick, twisted kind of way.
What I wish they would have done in this movie was told us the actual backstory of Bane, because we know what happened after Ra's al Ghul broke him out of the prison. He helped Talia escape, she went to her father, he came in and helped Bane get out, and that was basically her way of...
They saved him.
Her way of thanking him for helping her escape. My question, though, is Bane before the Bane we see?
Yeah, like, was he a killer?
Why was he in the prison?
Yeah.
Like, did he have this kind of power that he has, this strength and abilities? Did he have that before he met the League of Shadows, or did he get that from them? Because he obviously had something going on to where he could fend off this entire group of prisoners and not die. I mean, yeah, he ended up deformed, but he's still alive. So obviously there was something there that allowed him to not only fend them off, but also to kind of care for Talia. And if he was this big killer, why would he have cared about this little girl in the prison in the first place?
I just think they didn't need to
They should have done more, I think, with explaining Bane. I know it's not that important, but I still would have liked to know what made Bane Bane.
I think they didn't really need to have him connected to the League of Shadows at all. Like you said, it was explained that he ends up joining the League of Shadows after his escape from prison, but then they kick him out because I guess basically he was getting too close to Talia or something, I guess is what she said. Or he loved her like a little sister or whatever, and he was overprotective, so they kind of, Ra's al Ghul kicked him out or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
So so that's why he was still willing to work with Talia. She sought him out after all those years or whatever and recruited him. But I feel like they should have just had him be his own thing. Another villain for Batman to defeat. Yeah. And he actually does more than, like, probably Joker and... Like, if Joker was all about kind of technically bringing peace to Gotham... even Ra's al Ghul didn't really succeed in what he was trying to do, but like Bane, like takes the whole city captive, like blows up
prisoners free,
traps the cops underground and things, which was really dumb on the cops.
Has Crane as the judge, jury, and executioner for Gotham.
He had a ticking time bomb that was going to go off in like 6 months or whatever, and all this time he got rid of Bruce and Batman. Got him thrown into that same prison for him to try and escape.
And he blew up Heinz Field.
He blew up Heinz Field, the home field of Pittsburgh
Antonio
Steelers.
Brown running for a touchdown and didn't even get to, because they blew up the stadium.
That was my favorite part, because it's like we're Steelers fans, so it was like that was kind of cool to see that they used a Pittsburgh field for that scene.
Right. And had some of the players
pretending it existed in Gotham City. That was pretty cool.
That was kind of cool. Yes.
I don't want to see that happen in real life.
Yeah, don't do that. But we have enough issues in the games.
I don't know. It's just everything Bane did. It seems like it makes sense up until the point when it's revealed that he was just not. It wasn't his plan to begin with.
Right.
Somebody else was pulling the string. Like there's a way you can do that where it works, and I didn't feel like that worked here. I feel like that kind of undercut Bane, cause especially since we find out there's like 10 or 15 minutes left in the movie or whatever, and that's when we find that out that it was Talia the whole time, and she's been like disguised as someone else the whole movie or pretending to be somebody. It just kind of undercut that. Like you said, it could have been in like a whole new movie they could have done where Talia comes back, Bruce has to deal with the League of Shadows,
or just have it not be at all, like you said. I agree with that they could have just had it be separate. I guess it kind of gives it that, like, you and I are connected now type of thing, because we're both outcasts from the League of Shadows.
Because she kind of leads the league.
We both had beef with Ra's al Ghul, so it was kind of that, I guess, me and I know you type of situation. But I don't really think they needed it, because you look at like any other superhero movies, yes, a lot of them are connected to something from that person's past, but not every single villain goes back to the original villain that they fought.
Yeah, no,
you know what I mean? And it doesn't have to necessarily be something connected to the League of Shadows. Bane could have just been somebody who decided to take over Gotham.
Yeah, because it's been
Joker
8 years
wasn't connected to it.
Yeah.
Joker just showed up one day.
Right.
So why couldn't Bane have just showed up? Why did he have to be connected?
Especially with the way they open. This might have been maybe not a better opening than Batman or than the Dark Knight with the Joker and bank heist thing, but this was a pretty cool scene where he like steals a plane essentially and then drops it, makes it look like there was a car
plans
crash.
This whole thing to get
and here it's not even
I think German scientist or Russian or something to be able to build a bomb that they end up using later on in the movie, and he's the only one that can do it. And they do that, and they have the bank heist or the plane heist, and they make it so that everything looks like it was an accident, an accidental plane crash, and they have this elaborate scheme, and they set it up, and they take the doctor back with them, and all this other stuff. And then it's just outshined by the fact that it was Talia's plan anyways.
I mean, that was a cool opening to the movie, and this was it was still a cool movie and still a good movie and everything. It's just like, all that impact of what Bane did kind of got taken away by the reveal of Talia. Other than that, I did like the movie. I mean, it's fine for... I don't know if it's like the best one in the trilogy, but like it's still better than some of like the original Batman movies.
One thing I did like about this was the way that they had Batman and Catwoman team up but still not be like friends.
Yeah,
That's it was basically that old saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right. Where they both had a common enemy, so they worked together to defeat said enemy.
Even though she's also trying
she's doing her own stuff. But Batman didn't get in her way and she didn't get in his because they needed, and then they end up helping each other. They put their differences aside and worked together to defeat this common enemy that they had and save the city of Gotham. They didn't have her outshine Batman, because it is a Batman movie. It wasn't her
movie, yeah, she didn't...
But it was also, the right amount of both of them together allowed for them to win. And basically, neither one of them would have succeeded in their goals had it not been for the other one.
Right.
And the outcome would have been a lot different had she not been there to help Batman. So I like the way that they included her, somebody who's typically more of a villain character, I would say. Or not necessarily a villain, but they're kind of a...
She's what Black Cat is to Spider-Man.
Right. I mean, she's not really a villain, but she's not really a hero either. But, so to take that and to have her work closely with Batman and be able to put those differences aside, I think that was a great idea to have in this movie, because it really showed, that just because he's Batman and just because she's a criminal or a thief, doesn't mean that they can't still want the same thing for the city that they live in.
Right, and this is the first time we've seen him actually team up with somebody too.
Right.
Where it wasn't just obviously...
other than Alfred.
But Alfred, helps him...
Right.
Or build the technology and things like that.
So does Fox.
And Lucius Fox and everybody. But they don't, team up with him out on the streets and stuff, unless they have to hack...
he didn't have Robin.
Unless they have to hack something or whatever. But I like that they actually had, like you said, the teamwork dynamic. It's his first time. He has to try and, put aside his differences with somebody, I guess, and team up with them.
Right, and
it
basically shows that even Batman can be beaten without help.
Right.
He might be this vigilante and he might be this great fighter, but he can't do everything by himself, and he always needs help. I mean, I guess that's the point of any good superhero, is that, you always need somebody to have your back.
Everybody needs
even
help.
if it's not a full-time thing, it's still a kind of help me out when I need it type of thing.
Right.
And it still works. I mean, any superhero ever has had somebody help them in some way do something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's been one yet, but there's some that go overboard with the help. But but I think it worked out great, and I liked Anne Hathaway's portrayal of Catwoman in this.
Right,
I know a lot of people gave the character hate after the Halle Berry stuff, and I like this better. I think, where she was just kind of a thief.
Yeah, she's this little sarcastic, almost like a child kind of thing. Or everybody looks at her that way, at least, so they kind of underestimate her. And then she's just seriously a professional thief type. So that she kind of gets away with a lot of things in this, and that kind of is a nice sort of dynamic between Batman and Catwoman, where they do have to team up, even though she's still trying to kind of steal from him and things like that, or she knows things that nobody else does that she could use, or vice versa.
He knows stuff about her too that he could use, and they're not.
So he's kind of teaming with a villain, but it's also a hero. And I just like how this movie actually did. I think in a nice way, it kind of wrapped up the trilogy in a bow, but also set up if they were going to do a couple more, or if Christopher Nolan decided to make more from this series, like a Robin movie, which they set up at the end. I feel like for this movie in particular, though, it did wrap up everything perfectly. Even Bruce flying away at the end with the bomb, and then the bomb going off, and everyone assuming Batman's dead. And then he kind of shows up at the end. So they can kind of just, okay, Batman's done, now we need new heroes or whatever. They could have continued to set this up If they do ever come back, I would hope to see like a Robin movie or something.
Yeah,
with
as part of this
with Joseph
franchise.
Gordon-Levitt
Yes.
still playing him, just like they did here. But it's a shame we never got another one. But this was still a nice ending to this trilogy.
Yeah, I think this wasn't my favorite in the trilogy. I think it would go Dark Knight, Batman Begins, and then this one. But overall, it wasn't a bad movie. I just don't like the Talia al Ghul stuff.
If I had to give this one a rating, I'd say 3 out of 5, I guess, because there were some things that didn't make sense in this movie. Like, if you watch it, like, a lot of Bane's plan maybe didn't make sense unless you watch it again and kind of... There's some things that, when you watch it again, it's like, oh, okay, that actually did make sense. But for first-time viewers, it's kind of like...
Yeah.
His plan is a little weird, but... I don't know. But, yeah, so... What would you rank it?
I think I would
you give it a
agree.
rating?
It would be
Like a
probably
3.
a 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't horrible. It was definitely better than some other Batman movies.
Yeah. I mean...
But it wasn't my favorite of this trilogy, so I'm not going to put it at a 5.
Agree. I mean, obviously the best one was the second one. That's what everybody says, because just the way the Joker was portrayed.
I mean, Heath Ledger
everything
won an
else.
Oscar for it, so...
Yeah. I mean, that was a fantastic movie, and this one was like, it was a step down, but not like too far down where it was like a completely horrible train wreck of a movie,
Right.
you know, so it just wasn't as strong as the other two, I'd say.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think-
even
I
Batman
think-
Begins, you know, kind of
Right.
set the tone for what everything else was going to be throughout the whole trilogy.
Yeah, I think the plot was just kind of too...
All over the place,
all over
kind
the
of.
place.
Yeah, just a
You know,
little bit.
If they would have just stuck with one villain, I think it would have worked a lot better.
So there you go, guys. That was our review of The Dark Knight Rises and the conclusion of our Dark Knight trilogy rewatch. Let us know what you guys thought of this movie if you've seen it down in the comments section. If you haven't seen it, go check it out along with the other two Dark Knight trilogy movies as well. Batman
Yes.
Begins and The Dark Knight.
It's a great trilogy. So
Yes, it is. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. We're going to be talking about The Batman that's coming out, the Robert Pattinson one. And thank you for watching this video, everyone.
And remember, leave the scumbaggery at home, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Subscribe.